There's a profound secret encoded in your birth year that has been influencing your life's journey since the moment you took your first breath. According to ancient Buddhist wisdom, the last digit of your birth year is far more than a random number. It's a spiritual signature that reveals your soul's mission in this lifetime. This isn't mainstream numerology. This is an esoteric teaching preserved by Buddhist monks for centuries, one that illuminates why certain patterns repeatedly manifest in your life, why specific relationships seem destined to enter and exit your experience, and most importantly, why you're drawn toward particular paths while feeling resistance toward others. In the next 10 minutes, we'll explore the deep significance of each number from 0 to 9, uncovering the unique vibrational essence that each one carries. You'll discover not just the strengths associated with your number, but also the shadow aspects and spiritual lessons that your soul came here to integrate. Before we begin, take a moment to identify the last digit of your birth year. This single number contains insights that can help you align more powerfully with your authentic path and transform challenges into opportunities for spiritual growth. Number 0. The infinite potential. The number 0 in Buddhist philosophy represents something far deeper than emptiness. It symbolizes infinite potential and the sacred void from which all creation emerges. If your birth year ends in 0, you carry the most transformative energy of all the numbers. The circle of 0 represents both completion and new beginnings simultaneously. You exist at a crucial threshold point where one cycle ends and another begins. This placement gives you a unique ability to reinvent yourself repeatedly throughout life. At a soul level, you're here to embody the profound Buddhist concept of emptiness, shunyata, not as nothingness, but as boundless possibility. You innately understand that all forms are temporary, all identities are fluid, and all circumstances can be transformed. Your greatest spiritual gift is the ability to start fresh, to release attachment to what no longer serves, and to find opportunity within chaos. You're naturally skilled at helping others through major life transitions because you understand intuitively that endings always contain the seeds of new beginnings. The shadow aspect of 0 energy manifests as chronic dissatisfaction, a feeling of never quite arriving, of always seeking the next new beginning before fully completing what you've started. You may struggle with a sense of impermanence that makes it difficult to feel grounded. Your spiritual lesson involves finding peace within constant change. Rather than seeking completion in external achievements, you're called to discover the still point at the center of transformation, the unchanging awareness that witnesses all beginnings and endings without attachment. To live in harmony with your 0 energy, practice mindfulness of transitions. Honor each ending fully before embracing the next beginning. Recognize that your seemingly disconnected life chapters are actually forming a perfect circle of experience that continuously returns to your essential nature. Number 1. The conscious creator. The number 1 in Buddhist philosophy represents the principle of individualization, the moment when universal consciousness takes specific form. If your birth year ends in 1, you embody the energy of the pioneer, the initiator, the conscious creator. This primal energy of beginning gives you natural leadership qualities and a strong sense of self-determination. You carry the vibration of Dharma Chakra Pravartana, the turning of the wheel of Dharma, which represents the courage to set new causes in motion. At a spiritual level, you're here to explore the Buddhist concept of right intention, Samasankappa. Your soul chose this vibration to learn about the power of focused will and the responsibility that comes with being first. You're naturally drawn to carve new paths where none existed before. Your greatest gifts include unwavering self-confidence, remarkable resilience after setbacks, and the ability to inspire others through your clear vision and decisive action. You possess a natural authority that doesn't need to demand respect. It simply commands it through presence. The shadow aspect of 1 energy manifests as excessive individualism, the illusion of separation that can lead to isolation and an over-reliance on personal will. You may struggle with accepting help, delegating authority, or considering viewpoints that differ from your vision. Your spiritual lesson involves understanding the Buddhist concept of anatta, non-self, recognizing that even as you lead and initiate, you are deeply interconnected with all beings. True leadership doesn't emerge from ego, but from becoming a clear channel for universal intelligence. To live in harmony with your one energy, practice the balance of assertion and receptivity. Set clear intentions, but remain open to how they might manifest. Remember that your greatest power comes not from controlling outcomes, but from aligning your individual will with the greater flow of life. Number 2. The Harmonizer. The number 2 in Buddhist philosophy represents the principle of relationship, the sacred space between separate entities that allows for harmony and balance. If your birth year ends in 2, you embody the energy of the mediator, the diplomat, the peacemaker. This energy of duality gives you natural sensitivity to the perspectives of others and an innate understanding of the delicate balance required for peaceful coexistence. You carry the vibration of Madhyama Pradipad, the middle way, which represents the path between extremes. At a soul level, you're here to explore the Buddhist virtues of right speech, samavaka, and loving kindness, metta. Your soul chose this vibration to master the art of creating harmony where there is discord, building bridges where there are divides. Your greatest gifts include exceptional emotional intelligence, intuitive understanding of unspoken dynamics, remarkable patience in complex situations, and the ability to see multiple perspectives simultaneously without judgment. You naturally create safe spaces where truth can be spoken and hearts can heal. The shadow aspect of 2 energy manifests as self-erasure, the tendency to sacrifice your own truth and needs to maintain external harmony. You may struggle with people-pleasing, conflict avoidance, and emotional dependency that stems from defining yourself through relationships with others. Your spiritual lesson involves embracing the Buddhist concept of upekkha, equanimity, finding inner balance that isn't dependent on external conditions. You're called to understand that true harmony doesn't require self-sacrifice, but emerges from honoring both yourself and others equally. To live in harmony with your 2 energy, practice compassionate boundaries. Recognize that creating external peace while abandoning your inner truth isn't true peace at all. Your greatest contribution comes when you embody the harmony you wish to create, balancing self-care with care for others. Number 3. The Expressive Catalyst. The number 3 in Buddhist philosophy represents the principle of creative manifestation, the expression of divine energy through form. If your birth year ends in 3, you embody the energy of the communicator, the artist, the joyful catalyst. This energy of triangulation, the first stable geometric form, gives you natural expressive abilities and an innate understanding of how to transform abstract concepts into tangible experiences. You carry the vibration of Trikaya, the 3 bodies of Buddha, truth, bliss, and manifestation, which represents the integration of spiritual insight with earthly expression. At a soul level, you're here to explore the Buddhist concepts of right speech, samavaka, and sympathetic joy, mudita. Your soul chose this vibration to learn how to channel divine inspiration into forms that awaken and uplift others. Your greatest gifts include exceptional creative intelligence, natural charisma, the ability to communicate complex ideas in accessible ways, and a contagious enthusiasm that activates others' potential. You naturally bring light into dark places through your authentic self-expression. The shadow aspect of 3 energy manifests as dispersed focus, the tendency to initiate many creative projects without following through to completion. You may struggle with consistency, emotional volatility, and using humor or charm as a mask to avoid vulnerability and deeper emotional truth. Your spiritual lesson involves practicing the Buddhist concept of nekkhamma, renunciation, not of creativity itself, but of the ego's attachment to creative output. You're called to recognize that your true creative power flows not from striving, but from allowing yourself to become a clear channel. To live in harmony with your 3 energy, Practice disciplined creativity. Establish structures that help you complete what you begin while maintaining the spontaneity that is your greatest strength. Remember that your gift for bringing joy isn't superficial. It's a profound spiritual medicine in a suffering world. Number 4. The Conscious Builder. The number 4 in Buddhist philosophy represents the principle of foundation, the stable structures through which spiritual energy can take practical form. If your birth year ends in 4, you embody the energy of the architect, the organizer, the manifester of order. This energy of solidity gives you natural discipline and an innate understanding of how to create systems that endure. You carry the vibration of Katari Arya Sakani, the Four Noble Truths, which represents foundational wisdom upon which all spiritual practice is built. At a soul level, you're here to explore the Buddhist concept of right action, Sammakamanta, and right livelihood, Sammaajva. Your soul chose this vibration to learn how to manifest spiritual principles in practical, tangible ways that create stability for yourself and others. Your greatest gifts include exceptional organizational intelligence, natural integrity, remarkable endurance during difficult circumstances, and the ability to see the precise steps needed to transform visions into reality. You naturally create order from chaos through methodical, patient action. The shadow aspect of 4 energy manifests as rigidity, the tendency to confuse structure with control, and to resist organic change when it threatens established systems. You may struggle with perfectionism, excessive judgment of self and others, and difficulty adapting when circumstances require flexibility. Your spiritual lesson involves embracing the Buddhist concept of anicca, impermanence, recognizing that even the most solid foundations eventually transform. You're called to build with awareness that all forms are temporary vehicles for ongoing evolution. To live in harmony with your 4 energy, practice adaptive stability. Create structures with enough flexibility to evolve as circumstances change. Remember that your greatest strength isn't in resisting change, but in creating systems resilient enough to integrate change without losing their essential integrity. Number 5. The Conscious Liberator. The number 5 in Buddhist philosophy represents the principle of freedom, the dynamic energy that prevents stagnation and promotes evolution. If your birth year ends in 5, you embody the energy of the explorer, the agent of change, the sensory adventurer. This energy of expansion gives you natural versatility and an innate understanding of how freedom and discipline must balance each other. You carry the vibration of Panca Indriyani, the 5 senses, which represents full engagement with the experiential dimension of existence. At a soul level, you're here to explore the Buddhist concept of right mindfulness, samasati, the practice of being fully present to experience without attachment. Your soul chose this vibration to learn how to embrace change as the only constant, finding freedom within rather than from circumstances. Your greatest gifts include exceptional adaptability, intellectual curiosity, the courage to challenge limiting conventions, and the ability to see possibilities that others miss. You naturally bring fresh energy and perspective to stagnant situations through your refusal to be confined by outdated paradigms. The shadow aspect of 5 energy manifests as restlessness, the tendency to confuse freedom with constant change, and to resist commitment when it feels like limitation. You may struggle with inconsistency, impulsivity, and an addiction to novelty that prevents you from experiencing the deeper freedom that comes through mastery. Your spiritual lesson involves understanding the Buddhist paradox that true freedom comes not from external circumstances, but from inner liberation from craving and aversion. You're called to discover that commitment can be a vehicle for deeper freedom rather than its opponent. To live in harmony with your 5 energy, practice conscious choice. Recognize that freedom doesn't mean keeping all options open indefinitely, but rather choosing with full awareness and presence. Your greatest contribution comes when you channel your love of freedom into liberating stuck energy in systems and people. Number 6. The Conscious Nurturer. The number 6 in Buddhist philosophy represents the principle of compassionate responsibility, the energy that sustains and nurtures life. If your birth year ends in 6, you embody the energy of the caretaker, the harmonizer, the compassionate guardian. This energy of balance gives you natural nurturing abilities and an innate understanding of how to create beauty, harmony, and comfort. You carry the vibration of paramitas, the 6 perfections: generosity, ethics, patience, diligence, concentration, and wisdom, which represents the qualities that sustain the spiritual path. At a soul level, you're here to explore the Buddhist concept of karuna, compassion, and its application in daily life. Your soul chose this vibration to learn how to care for others while maintaining internal balance and how to create environments where beauty and harmony can flourish. Your greatest gifts include exceptional empathy, natural healing abilities, remarkable patience with others' growth processes, and the capacity to transform any space into a sanctuary. You naturally see the highest potential in others and create conditions that allow that potential to blossom. The shadow aspect of 6 energy manifests as self-sacrifice, the tendency to overgive and become depleted, confusing martyrdom with service. You may struggle with codependency, difficulty receiving, and feelings of resentment when your giving isn't acknowledged or reciprocated. Your spiritual lesson involves embracing the Buddhist concept of upekkha, equanimity, recognizing that true compassion includes yourself as well as others. You're called to understand that sustainable service flows from fullness rather than depletion. To live in harmony with your 6 energy, practice sacred reciprocity. Create balance between giving and receiving, service and self-care. Remember that your greatest contribution doesn't come from exhausting yourself, but from modeling healthy nurturing that honors both caregiver and recipient. Number 7. The Mystic Seeker. The number 7 in Buddhist philosophy represents the principle of contemplation, the inner quest for truth that transcends intellectual understanding. If your birth year ends in 7, you embody the energy of the seeker, the mystic, the wisdom keeper. This energy of depth gives you natural analytical abilities combined with profound intuition and an innate understanding of life's hidden dimensions. You carry the vibration of Saddhabhujanga, the 7 factors of enlightenment: mindfulness, investigation, energy, joy, tranquility, concentration, and equanimity, which represents the qualities that awaken spiritual insight. At a soul level, you're here to explore the Buddhist concept of panya, wisdom, and right understanding, samadhi. Your soul chose this vibration to penetrate beyond appearances and discover the underlying patterns and principles that govern existence. Your greatest gifts include exceptional perceptiveness, natural contemplative abilities, remarkable discernment in complex situations, and the capacity to access knowledge beyond conventional learning. You naturally see connections and patterns that others miss, serving as a bridge between the seen and unseen realms. The shadow aspect of 7 energy manifests as detachment, the tendency to retreat into analysis or spiritual theorizing as a way to avoid full emotional participation in life. You may struggle with isolation, overthinking, analysis paralysis, and difficulty translating insights into practical action. Your spiritual lesson involves embracing the Buddhist concept of engaged awareness, recognizing that true wisdom isn't separate from daily life but manifests through it. You're called to bring your profound insights down from the mountain and apply them in the marketplace of human experience. To live in harmony with your 7 energy, practice embodied wisdom. Balance contemplation with action, solitude with connection. Remember that your greatest contribution comes not just from what you know, but from how you translate that knowing into living wisdom that others can access. Number 8. The Empowered Manifester. The number 8 in Buddhist philosophy represents the principle of balanced power, the energy that manifests spiritual truth in material form. If your birth year ends in 8, you embody the energy of the executive, the manifester, the agent of transformation. This energy of mastery gives you natural leadership abilities and an innate understanding of how spiritual and material realms interconnect. You carry the vibration of Arya Atangika Magga, the Noble Eightfold Path, which represents the integrated approach to transforming consciousness through every dimension of life. At a soul level, you're here to explore the Buddhist concept of samavayama, right effort, and sama-ajava, right livelihood. Your soul chose this vibration to learn how to direct power ethically and effectively, creating abundance that benefits not just yourself, but the collective. Your greatest gifts include exceptional manifestation abilities, natural strategic thinking, remarkable resilience under pressure, and the capacity to transform challenging circumstances into opportunities for growth. You naturally see the leverage points in systems and can create significant change with minimal wasted energy. The shadow aspect of 8 energy manifests as power imbalance, either grasping for control or fearing your own power and thus underutilizing it. You may struggle with workaholic tendencies, measuring self-worth through external achievements, or unconsciously creating power dynamics in relationships. Your spiritual lesson involves embracing the Buddhist concept of samasamadhi, right concentration, focusing your considerable power with mindfulness and ethical clarity. You're called to recognize that true power doesn't come from force, but from alignment with universal principles. To live in harmony with your 8 energy, practice conscious empowerment. Direct your manifestation abilities toward outcomes that benefit the whole while honoring your own deservingness to thrive. Remember that your greatest contribution comes when you model how to wield power with wisdom, demonstrating that material success and spiritual evolution can go hand in hand. Number 9. The compassionate completer. The number 9 in Buddhist philosophy represents the principle of culmination, the energy that brings cycles to completion and prepares the way for new beginnings. If your birth year ends in 9, you embody the energy of the humanitarian, the universal healer, the compassionate elder. This energy of completion gives you natural humanitarian vision and an innate understanding of the interconnectedness of all beings. You carry the vibration of Navanga Buddha Sasana, the 9-fold attributes of the Buddha, such as worthiness, perfect wisdom, and perfect conduct, which represents the qualities of a fully awakened being. At a soul level, you're here to explore the Buddhist concept of metta, loving kindness, extended to all beings without exception. Your soul chose this vibration to learn how to transform personal experience into universal compassion and how to help others complete their own cycles with grace. Your greatest gifts include exceptional compassion, natural healing abilities, remarkable perspective in difficult situations, and the capacity to see the highest truth in seemingly opposite viewpoints. You naturally feel the suffering of the world and are driven to alleviate it through both practical action and energetic presence. The shadow aspect of 9 energy manifests as overwhelm, the tendency to absorb too much of the world's pain without adequate boundaries. You may struggle with a sense of not belonging here, martyrdom tendencies, and difficulty focusing on practical priorities when faced with seemingly limitless need. Your spiritual lesson involves embracing the Buddhist concept of upekkha, equanimity, learning to hold the suffering of the world in your awareness without becoming identified with it. You're called to understand that you serve best not by carrying others' burdens, but by helping them discover their own strength. To live in harmony with your 9 energy, practice compassionate detachment. Maintain an open heart while remembering that you are not responsible for fixing all suffering. Your greatest contribution comes from embodying the completion of your own healing journey, demonstrating that wholeness is possible even in an imperfect world. Conclusion. The last digit of your birth year isn't a cage that limits your potential. It's a sacred key that unlocks deeper understanding of your soul's journey. When you align with this energy rather than resist it, you'll find that challenges become opportunities and supposed weaknesses transform into unique strengths. Over the next week, I invite you to observe how your number energy expresses itself in your daily life. Notice when you're flowing with it and when you're fighting against it. Pay attention to the specific lessons and gifts associated with your number and consider how they've been appearing throughout your life. Remember that true spiritual growth doesn't come from escaping your nature, but from embracing it fully, shadow aspects included. By understanding and honoring the vibrational signature you chose before birth, you align more deeply with your authentic path and fulfill the mission your soul came here to accomplish. The ancient Buddhist monks preserved this wisdom because they understood something profound. When we recognize the sacred patterns within seemingly random aspects of our lives, we awaken to the truth that nothing is accidental. Every detail of your existence, including the year you chose to be born, contains purpose and meaning. Your journey continues with this new awareness. May it bring you clarity, purpose, and the joy that comes from living in harmony with your deepest truth.